Hey, kiddos. Sorry. Very parched. Gotta stay hydrated. And when you have a big cup, you have to fill it up less often. It's lovely. All right, let's dive in. Dr. Proctor's Fire Powder, Chapter 12, Truls and Trym Blast Off. When Lisa walked out her front gate the next morning, Nilly was standing there with his backpack on. Waiting for someone who's going the same way? Lisa asked. Yep, Nilly said. Then they started walking. My mom and Dad asked me what was going on in Dr. Proctor's yard yesterday, Lisa said. Did you tell him? Nilly asked. Yeah, of course, Lisa said. I mean, it's not a secret, is it? No, Nilly said hesitantly. I just don't usually risk telling my mom about things I think are really fun, because she almost always decides they're dangerous or naughty or something. She may almost always be right, you know, Lisa said. Yeah, that's what's so irritating, Nilly said, kicking a rock. What did your parents say? Dad said it was just fine if I earned some money of my own. Then he wouldn't have to earn it for me. Oh, so then he didn't think it was dangerous? Nilly asked, a bit skeptical. A little farting? Not at all, Lisa said. They walked for a ways before Lisa added, Of course, I didn't tell him about the fart and not powder. Nilly nodded. Probably just as well. Anyway, I have an idea, Lisa said. Well, that's definitely good, Nilly said. Why? Because you pretty much only ever have good ideas, Nilly said. I was thinking that the fart powder doesn't really taste like anything, Lisa said. It has absolutely no taste, Nilly said. That's what I'm saying. I mean, the farting is fun, Lisa said, but if we added a flavor to it so it tastes good when you... But what if we added a flavor to it so it tastes good when you eat it too? Like I said, Nilly replied, only good ideas. But what kind of flavor? Simple, Lisa asked. What's the best thing you've tasted recently? Simple, Nilly answered. Dr. Proctor's Jello. Exactly. So what we do is we add 5% essence of Jello to the fart powder. Brilliant, Nilly exclaimed. Brilliant, they heard a voice say from right behind them. Don't you think that sounds brilliant, Trym? Sounds like gobbledygook, said another voice, which may have possibly been even closer. Nilly and Lisa slowly turned around. They'd been so excited that they'd forgotten to stop and see if the coast was clear before they walked by the house where Trym and Truls lived. And now the two enormous boys were standing there. They were sporting big sneers, each of them chewing on a matchstick, their jaws moving up and down in their enormous barrel-shaped heads. Good morning, boys, Nilly said. Sorry, but we have to hurry. Mrs Strobe doesn't like her geniuses to be late to class. He tried to say it offhandedly and casually, but Lisa could hear in his voice that Nilly wasn't all that confident. He grasped Lisa by the hand and was about to pull her along with him, but Trym was blocking their way. Truls was leaning against the picket fence, rolling the matchstick from one corner of his mouth to the other. We didn't get any powder yesterday, he said menacingly. You guys must have gotten in line too late, Nilly said and gulped. You can try again this afternoon. Truls laughed. Did you hear that, Trym? Get in line. Trym hurriedly started laughing. Listen up, you freckly anteater, Truls said quietly, grabbing Nilly by the collar. We're not going to be standing in any line or paying you anything for that fake powder of yours. You catch my drift? We want that powder right here, right now. Or else. The matchstick flipped up and down in the corner of his mouth as he stared at Nilly grimly. Or else what? Nilly whispered. Truls looked like he was thinking. Or else what? Lisa repeated dully. Come on, Truls, Trym said. Tell them. Shut up! Truls yelled. Let me concentrate. He concentrated, and his face lit up. Yeah, or else we'll smear honey all over you and tie you to the top of this here oak tree. Then the crows will peck you to pieces. Truls pointed to an oak tree with a trunk that was as big around as 4 men the size of Lisa's father, and as big around as 2 men the size of Truls and Trym's father. They all looked up. Oh, Nellie said. Oh, Lisa said. Uh-oh, indeed, Trym said. Because the oak tree was so tall, it looked like the top branches were brushing up against the white cloud that was sweeping past up in the sky. In that case, Nellie said, we'll have to see if we can find some sort of a solution. If you could just let me go for a second. Truls released his grasp, and Nellie started rummaging around in his pockets. When he was done with all 6 of the pockets he had in his pants, he started on the 6th in his jacket. Truls was getting impatient. Well, he said. I'm almost certain I have a bag here somewhere, Nellie muttered. We don't have time for fakers, Truls said. Trym, get the honey and the rope. Wait, Nellie yelled desperately. Let's get the little girl first, Truls said, grabbing Lisa by the arm. Here, Nellie said, holding out a bag of grayish powder. That'll be 50 cents. 50 cents? Truls grabbed Nellie's wrist, snatched the bag, and spit his half-chewed matchstick into the palm of Nellie's hand. Here, you can have this. Now you can go home and set yourself on fire. Ha ha, Trym laughed. Truls eyed the bag suspiciously. What does this say here? He said. DOCTORPROC. Dr. Proctor's fart powder, Lisa said quickly. Shut up, I can read, Truls yelled. Well, excuse me, Lisa said, sounding miffed. Truls said. Trym said. You first, Truls said to Trym. No, you first, Trym said to Truls. You guys could share, Nellie said. Shut up, Trym yelled, almost as loudly and nastily as Truls just had. Then they opened the bag, and Truls poured exactly half into Trym's hand and half into his own hand. They looked at each other for a second and then swallowed the powder. They'll taste better once we add the Jello flavoring, Lisa started. Get up! Truls and Trym yelled, their mouths full of powder. Nothing's happening, Truls said once he'd managed to swallow. 7, Nellie said. What the heck? Trym said. 6, Nellie continued. 5. Truls turned to look at Lisa. What's the puny one babbling about? But Lisa was offended and showed with her pursed lips and crossed arms that she, of all people, was not planning on answering. 4, Nellie said. Truls, Trym said. I can feel something happening. It's like a tickling in my stomach. Truls scrunched up his forehead and looked down at his own stomach. 3, Nellie said. 2. Hey, now I feel it too, Truls said. A big smile spread over his face. As Nellie said, 1. Goodbye. Huh? Truls and Trym said. But no one heard them, because the only thing anyone could hear was the bang that woke up everyone on Cannon Avenue who wasn't awake already. Lisa rubbed the dust, which had blinded her, out of her eyes, but she still couldn't see anyone besides Nellie. Where'd they go? She asked. Nellie pointed his index finger toward the sky. You didn't give them... Nellie nodded. The fart enough powder? You're crazy, Nellie! Lisa shielded her eyes, staring up at the sky. It was them or us, Nellie said, glancing toward him, upward himself. They're gone, Lisa said. Vanished into thin air, Nellie said. I bet it'll be a long time before we see them again, Lisa said. Maybe never, Nellie said. Or, wait a second. Now that they were getting their hearing back, they were able to hear the rumble of a long fart and a pitiful voice. Help! The voice was yelling. Help! We're falling! It sounded like the long voice, like The long fart and the voice were both coming from the oak tree. Lisa and Nilly went over to the tree, and there, way up at the top of the tree, they could see the soles of 2 pairs of sneakers. Truls and Trym were dangling by their arms from a branch at the very top of the tree, and the long fart was making all the leaves below them shake. "Mommy!" Truls yelled. "Daddy!" Trym yelled. Nilly started laughing, but Lisa grabbed his arm. "We have to get them down," she said. "They might get hurt."
"Okay," Nilly said. "Let me just finish laughing first."
Seems like maybe the bullies got what was coming to them. And then he laughed some more. And when Lisa heard that, she couldn't help but laugh too. And all the neighbors who'd been woken up by the bang now opened their windows to peer out and see what had caused it. They heard 3 things. People yelling, "Mommy!" and "Daddy!" People laughing, and a flapping noise that reminded them vaguely of... But that couldn't be, could it? Yes, it was. A real marathon fart.
"If we're gonna rescue you guys, you've got to hurry up before the fart ends and do exactly what I say,"
Nilly shouted up at Truls and Trym.
"Understand?"
"Just get us down," Truls yelled. "Grandma and Auntie!" screamed Trym.
"Okay, lift your legs so your butt is pointing down toward the ground and let go," Nilly yelled. "Now, right away!"
Truls and Trym were so scared that they did just what Nilly told them to do. They let go, and then wafted down between the branches, pulling with them a bunch of leaves and acorns, and landing rather hard in a heap in front of Lisa and Nilly.
"Well?"
Nilly asked, rolling the matchstick from one corner of his mouth to the other.
"Do you guys want some more?"
No, Trym said.
"All right," Nilly said. "That'll be 50 cents then."
"Whoa, what?" Trym said. Did you hear that, Truls?" But Truls hadn't heard. He was lying on his back on the sidewalk, staring blankly up at the sky, blinking over and over again. Trym dug down in his pants pocket and held out $1, which Lisa accepted.
"Well, gentlemen,"
Nilly said, stuffing the matchstick into his back pocket,
"the clock is ticking, and unfortunately, Lisa and I have to get going."
Nilly and Lisa started running. They made it onto the playground just as the bell rang. "Hey, Nilly!" It was a boy whose face was vaguely familiar to Nilly. "Cool patter! You want to come play soccer at Kjallaka after school today?" Norwegian words are weird sometimes. "Nilly!" someone else yelled. "Boar and I are going to come buy some more farters tonight. Do you want to come over to Boar's afterward and play PlayStation or something?" A girl came over to Lisa.
"Some friends are coming over for pizza tonight. Can you come?"
Nilly and Lisa nodded in all directions and ran toward the door to the school.
"Can you believe it, Lisa?" Nilly whispered. "We're popular. You'll see. You'll have a new best friend in no time."
Lisa nodded slowly. As they filed into the classroom along with everyone else, she tugged Nilly's sleeve. "Hey, Nilly, I've been thinking."
"Yeah?"
Nilly said. Lisa smiled and looked down. Nilly wrinkled his forehead.
"What is it?"
Lisa opened her mouth and was about to say something, but then it was like she changed her mind and closed her mouth again. And when she opened it again, it was like she was saying something different from what she'd been planning to say originally. "Well, I was thinking that it was strange that you happened to have a bag of fart nut powder with you," she said, "and especially strange that it said on the bag that it was regular fart powder." Nilly shrugged. "You planned that, didn't you?" Lisa said. "You filled one of the regular bags with fart nut powder when we were sitting in Dr. Proctor's garden yesterday, because you knew Truls and Trym would stop us someday, and when they did, you wanted to have a bag with you so you could trick them." Nilly just smiled in response. "Isn't that what happened?" Lisa asked. But just as Nilly was about to respond, they were interrupted by the loud voice of Mrs. Strobe saying,
"Good morning, my dear children. Take your seats and be completely quiet, please."
And then they all obeyed. Mostly, anyway. Truls and Trym didn't go to school that day. They stayed home for 4 good reasons. The first was that the puny devil might have come up with more dirty tricks. The second was that the other kids at school might have heard about what had happened and would forget to be scared of Truls and Trym and laugh at them instead. The third was that when it came right down to it, Truls and Trym were 2 very lazy guys. But the fourth, and most important, was that they needed help thinking up a way to get revenge. Because no one was better at revenge than their father, Mr. Trym. And now their big fat father was sitting in a big fat armchair in their big fat home, scratching his fleshy belly.
Interesting,
he said.
So this professor has a powder that can shoot a person right up into the air, plus another powder that the kids are willing to pay money for?
Yeah, Truls said.
Yeah,
Trym said.
Not such dumb inventions,
Mr. Trym said with an evil sneer as he jabbed a stick into a cage where a frightened guinea pig was trying to get away.
I think I have a plan, boys. A plan that we can all make some money off of.
Yippee! Cheers, Truls.
Yippee!
Yelled Trym.
What's the plan? A little creative borrowing,
Mr. Trym said.
Awesome,
cried Truls.
How do we start?
Asked Trym.
We start, of course,
Mr. Trym said, grunting as he reached for the phone,
by calling the police.
Oh. Uh-oh. Our heroes might be in trouble. Well, that was a fun little chapter. And I hope that you guys have a lovely weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of the people that you're with. And we'll see you next week.